The sweltering summer heat shimmered over the quiet suburban street in Pasadena, California. Lawns were neatly trimmed. Sprinklers hissed rhythmically, and the faint aroma of barbecue drifted from a few houses down. But for one little boy, today was anything but ordinary. 7-year-old Lucas perched on a small wooden stool, his feet barely brushing the ground as he carefully arranged his lemonade stand. It was a modest setup, a folding table draped with a checkered cloth, a sweating pitcher of lemonade, and a neat stack of plastic cups. The centerpiece was his homemade sign, scrawled in bright, uneven letters, "Lemonade for Hope." His determination was evident in every detail, from the precise angle of the sign to the enthusiastic wave he gave each passing car. Lucas wasn't selling lemonade for pocket money or a new toy. He had a far more urgent purpose. He was raising money for his own chemotherapy treatments. It was a choice no child should have to make. But Lucas had faced more in his short life than most people do in a lifetime. Diagnosed with leukemia nearly a year ago, he had spent countless days in hospitals, enduring painful treatments that left him weak and nauseous. Despite it all, he refused to let his illness dim his spirit. His mother, Sarah, watched from the porch, her heart heavy with both pride and sorrow. Lucas' once thick, dark curls had thinned due to the treatments, but his hazel eyes still sparkled with determination. He waved eagerly at every passerby, his optimism unwavering. A jogger passed by, offering a curious glance but continuing on. A car slowed momentarily before driving off. Lucas adjusted his sign, poured himself a tiny cup of lemonade, and waited patiently. His first customer, an elderly neighbor named Mrs. Campbell, soon approached. "How much for a cup, sweetheart?" she asked warmly. "$1." Lucas replied with a grin. Mrs. Campbell handed him a $10 bill. "Keep the change," she said softly, her gaze lingering on the words "Lemonade for Hope" before she patted his hand and walked away. As the morning wore on, more neighbors stopped by. Some bought lemonade, while others simply dropped a few bills or coins into the mason jar labeled donations. Encouraging words flowed as generously as the lemonade. Yet Lucas' goal was still far from being met. He had no way of knowing that today, someone extraordinary was about to change everything. Lucas' journey had started unexpectedly. He had always been a vibrant, energetic child, racing through the yard barefoot, climbing trees, and painting whimsical pictures with his endless imagination. But a year ago, everything changed. It began with fatigue, too tired to finish his bike rides, too sleepy after school. Small bruises appeared out of nowhere. His parents initially dismissed it as growing pains, but his mother couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then came the fevers, first mild, then unrelenting. Lucas lost his appetite and began shedding weight at an alarming rate. One day, Sarah noticed he struggled to lift his crayons. That was the moment she knew something was terribly wrong. A trip to the pediatrician led to a whirlwind of tests, blood draws, and anxious waiting. When the doctor finally entered the room, his expression said it all before he even spoke. "Lucas has leukemia." Sarah's world tilted. The word hung in the air, sharp and heavy. She reached for her husband, Daniel's, hand, her mind racing with questions and fears. Lucas, still too young to fully grasp the gravity of the diagnosis, could tell something was wrong. "It's okay, Mommy," he had said, squeezing her fingers. "I'll be brave." Hospitals became their second home. Lucas endured round after round of chemotherapy, the harsh treatments taking a toll on his small body. Sarah never left his side, whispering reassurances through the worst of it. Daniel worked overtime, trying to keep up with the growing medical bills, his worry deepening with each passing day. Despite it all, Lucas never lost his spark. He found joy in the little things: a nurse who told silly jokes, a visitor who brought coloring books, the comforting weight of his favorite stuffed bear. One evening, as he sat cross-legged on the living room floor coloring while his parents whispered in the kitchen, he suddenly looked up. "What if I did something to help?" he asked. Sarah knelt beside him, brushing back the sparse remains of his once thick curls. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "What if I sell lemonade? People like lemonade. Maybe they'll buy it to help me." Sarah's throat tightened. The simplicity of Lucas' idea was both heartbreaking and beautiful. She pulled him into a hug. That's a wonderful idea. Honey, we'll make it happen. The next day, they set to work. Lucas sketched a sign while Sarah gathered supplies. He poured his heart into every detail, believing with all his might that his small act could make a big difference. Little did he know, his lemonade stand would bring his entire community together and attract a visitor who would change everything. By noon, word had spread. Neighbors stopped by, some drawn by the cheerful stand, others by the story written in bright, hopeful letters. The donation jar began to fill, and Lucas' spirits soared. Then, something unexpected happened. A tall man, dressed in a weathered leather jacket and dark jeans, walked slowly toward the stand. His movements were deliberate, his posture relaxed yet purposeful, with sunglasses shielding his eyes and a grizzled face partly shadowed. He exuded quiet confidence. People turned their heads, curiosity flickering in their eyes. Lucas squinted up at him. Would you like some lemonade? It's only $1. The man crouched slightly to meet his gaze. $1? Huh. Seems like a bargain. His voice was deep, gravelly, weighted with the wisdom of a lifetime. Lucas pointed to his sign. It's for my chemo. I want to help my mom and dad so they don't have to worry. The man's expression softened. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a checkbook. What's your name? Kid. Lucas. Well, Lucas, he said, scribbling something on the check. I think it's time this lemonade stand got the recognition it deserves. He tore the check from the book and handed it to Lucas. The little boy's hands trembled as he read the number. His eyes widened. This is $50,000, he whispered. Sarah bolted from the porch. 50,000, she echoed, her voice shaking. She turned to the man, overwhelmed. I don't even know what to say. Thank you doesn't seem like enough. The man smiled, his rugged features softening. You've already said it. He reached out, patting Lucas' shoulder. You keep doing what you're doing, kid. The world needs more people like you. A hush fell over the small crowd before someone gasped. Wait a minute, is that Harrison Ford? The realization rippled through the gathering like wildfire. Phones emerged. Whispers turned to gasps, and soon everyone was craning their necks. Lucas looked at him curiously. Are you famous or something? He asked. Harrison chuckled. A little bit, he admitted, but not as famous as you're going to be. And with that, the lemonade stand became more than just a fundraiser. It became a movement. Lucas' story spread, inspiring thousands across the country. Donations poured in, strangers stepped up, and a simple lemonade stand turned into a beacon of hope. And at the center of it all was a little boy with a big heart, proving that even the smallest hands can change the world.